on sometime tomorrow.
All right.
Nah.
Oh, and
Oh.
Heathens, just as a note, the Pirate Party is not what you think. They're for copyright reform.
Oh, they're copy. They're
Oh
what?
man, I thought they wanted pirates
Is-
back.
I
Damn
don't.
it.
I thought
Oh,
they were.
this is
Full
related.
stories,
We
man.
can get back to what we were talking about, but this is a question for the Canadians because of my admitted ignorance on their political system.
Right.
Is it first past the post, or is it like more traditional, like European type parliamentary? So, like for example, first past the post is the idea that it's just the candidate or the party that gets the most votes for a given district gets the seat. And so, like,
Okay,
that's for the U.S., that's for England, versus Parliament is like everyone votes and then seats are apportioned out based on how many votes.
There are
first past
seats in
the post.
Parliament. There's 338 of them. So therefore, we're divided into 338 ridings or regions. You have a candidate in each one of them. Then you vote for your candidate in your riding. As your
okay.
representative.
So it's a first past the post system then. Cool.
Yeah, but see, where I live, I might get my candidate, but then the next riding over, they might get a different candidate from another party. So then when you put everybody into Parliament, whoever got the most seats becomes
First
the
past the
majority.
Okay, cool.
It is a first past the post system, just to cut to the sweet and short of it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
most
I'm
votes in
speaking
a
from my
riding
own ignorance
is
regarding
when
the
seat at the
Great.
House of Commons.
Yeah, Great Britain is the only. I'm looking this up right now. Great Britain is the only Western European country that does first past the post. India does it. A few countries in Africa do it. I think Indonesia does it. U.S., Canada. That's and a few islands, off south of Cuba, and that's it.
I mean, it's not a terribly common system, and it just kind of depends. A lot of African countries theoretically do first past the post, but anything regarding democracy in Africa tends to be kind of theoretical, unfortunately.
Yeah.
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 Because
Well, the great
theoretically,
thing-
like a bunch of the countries have like their constitutions are typically either modeled off of the French, the British, or the Americans.
Yeah. Well, first past the post as a word isn't. One thing about it is that gerrymandering is not big a problem, right? What they do is do representative, where if there's X number of people, they'll usually, if it grows, they'll consider making a new riding. But that's about it, and you can't, arbitrarily draw the lines. It's not easy.
Like here, where they're pretty much just like. Have you ever looked at district lines in the U.S.?
Oh, I have.
So
They're
wacky.
fucking ridiculous, and they all follow white neighborhoods. Funny that.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where like the nature of racial conversations in the United States is just so bonkers that like it's very difficult to explain. Like I was explaining like I have a lot of friends who live in England, and I went abroad there, and some of my best friends in the world live there, and I was trying to explain to them why we can't, like why immigration is so much weirder of an issue, because they're like, oh no, like doesn't your country belong to Americans? I go, well, I'm the descendant of an illegal immigrant, so I can't. I find it to be a very problematic conversation because, like, and I'm friends with people whose parents were illegal immigrants. I live in California. Like, it's very, very common, and so it's an interesting conversation to have. Race in America is very, very unique because we are at once an extremely diverse country, but we have like the worst legacy of, not the worst, but one of the worst in terms of just racial structures.
Yeah. Oh shoot, just went out of my head. Oh yeah, Canada used to be heralded as a jewel on like refugees and immigration and all that. That's gone down because, quite frankly, the U.S. has pushed policies after 9/11.
It's hard because I mean, like, we just don't. The thing is I think that so much priority is being spent on terrorism, where it's like terrorism is like the quintessentially unpredictable event. Like I've tried to explain this to people. Is like, okay, like the best that we're ever gonna do is, oh, let's stop the brown person in the airport. Do people really think that it's gonna get any more sophisticated? I mean, you just have to have your head up your ass.
Well, there are aspects of cyber terrorism. I think that's at least an area where it gets more sophisticated.
Well, I mean, cyber terrorism is a whole different bag.
But it's still it's still an aspect of terrorism, though.
Oh, anything can be. Come on. But actually, cyber terrorism would be easier to stop depending on the tools at your disposal, right? Because you can detect it a hell of a lot easier, technically. Terrorism on other ends, you can't, because there's so many disparaging parts. You know, you have to put the puzzle together. You got to realize that it's a puzzle to begin with. That's the problem. Cyber attack, there's traces. There always are.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of those things where you just how do you say it? It's just quintessentially one of the things is that you leave a trace. You know, if you're doing a cyber terrorism thing, and you kind of can't be unpredictable, because that's just not how computers work.
Exactly.
You're stuck to the strictures, whereas there are so many interlinking parts to a plain thing. So you've got to be able to exploit each part of the system and not just one. Not just one aspect. Whereas if you're a cyber terrorist, you only have to exploit one aspect. Whereas, all of the things that have to go together to have a 9/11, aside from other connotations, it's a marvel of planning that went down.
Yeah. I mean, even in their relative incompetence in certain aspects, especially the interpersonal plays, where, people could have gotten suspicious very easily. People don't think anything of it.
Absolutely.
Right? They just pass it off unless they're trained to think, and then, how much paranoia is required. When you look after 9/11, paranoia has gone up in the States.
And it's horrible because when you just look at the raw numbers, like, we prioritize and worry about terrorism way too much.
Things.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at, I know this is going to piss off Burden, look at gun deaths domestically in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
That should be way more, like, how do we address that, whether through gun control or other measures? That's way more of an issue than terrorism.
The biggest issue regarding guns is suicide, though, because the majority of gun deaths are suicides.
I'm not sure about that.
I've looked up. It's kind of a weird way how these stats work. Like, when people say it is true that there isn't so much a correlation between amount of guns in circulation and homicides, but there is between overall gun deaths, and that's when you take the suicide factor into account. I mean, a state, I can explain this because I looked this up. I can even provide the stats. States like Montana and Wyoming, they have a lot of guns because they're hunting states. Now, those two states alone, and I'm only using these two states as an example, have among the lowest homicide rates. At the same time, they're also among the highest in suicide rates, which ends up actually contributing to them having the highest amount of gun deaths. I think the biggest issue is to take care of suicides first, and I'm not even necessarily sure that guns are a contributing factor to suicides.
Yes, they are.
Let me explain. Really, because the countries that are highest in suicide rates are Japan.
Wait 1 second. The reason why guns are a factor is because what you're talking about is successful suicides.
And also ease of use.
Yeah,
it's like the easiest way to kill yourself.
To successfully commit suicide with a gun.
Yeah. It's quickest. I mean, if somebody's going to do it, fuck yeah, give me a gun. Right? In the mouth, boom.
Not only that,
the poisoning by slitting your wrist,
yeah,
or
it
pills,
requires a lot less.
You have that chance to say, oh shit, what if I gun and make a phone call? After pulling the trigger of a gun, you don't really get that chance.
Exactly.
I was I was just going to say that suicide rates do differ across countries. I mean, Japan and South Korea are amongst the highest in suicides, and those are very low gun states. I mean, they mostly kill themselves by carbon monoxide poisoning.
Japan also has an issue with mental health, talking about mental health.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I
that's
don't
all-
think that that's really a good line of argumentation if you want to talk about, because when you're talking about suicide rates, I mean, that has a lot of mitigating factors.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, the whole point of Prudent's argument is, if guns were a huge factor, if guns contributed to suicide, we'd be seeing more suicide in countries with a lot of guns, but in fact we don't. We see them mostly in Japan and China.
I have a question to ask Prudent here with the whole homicide rates in these two states. What's the population density, Prudent?
Yeah, that actually goes into the next part. Yeah, it's pretty small.
Right. So therefore, you have less people to kill, less people who are killing each other, and if you have a problem with someone, there's plenty of space to walk away and be alone.
Well, also countries with very low population densities also tend to be the highest in suicide rates. I mean, it's also a social factor as well.
But
No,
also
suicide's
isn't the point of the opposite argument, though, you know, on the gun control side, that guns make it easier to commit suicide? I mean, if you have a nation of people who can already commit suicide just fine without a gun, it doesn't really, I don't see how it factors in that much.
Well, I think the bigger
efficient.
issue that doesn't get talked about is, non-fatal injuries. I mean, there were around 85,000, according to the CDC, in 2013 of non-fatal gun injuries. That's a lot.
And that could be anything from shooting a hole in your hand or blowing your leg off.
Yeah.
Well, gun
And so we're
accidents.
talking about a crazy. I mean, that's just a crazy high rate.
No wonder healthcare is expensive.
Yeah. Well, it's a cost on everyone, right? Like that's the thing is, anytime that, I mean, it doesn't matter what country you're in because of the way that health systems have evolved. I mean, it's in everyone's self-interest to have a healthier country. Like this is where like I tend to butt heads with a lot of libertarians, because it turns out that if you take their logic quite literally, we should be far more communitarian and ethic, because, you know, saying, oh, like I don't care if someone can go off to McDonald's and eat a bunch of processed shit and just have a fatal heart attack. Well, actually, you do care, because that's going to affect insurance premiums. That's going to affect how much healthcare costs for everyone.
It also affects the economy depending on what position, what skill they had as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. I mean, just for the let's say they're part of a family and they have a gun accident, let's say, and they're out of work for an amount of time. That time off work, there's less income, which means less spending, which he could lose his job or whatever. You never know what's going to happen. But still, regardless, it creates a strain, because if he loses his job because of it or can't work, or her, sorry, you know, then there's the welfare, there's the social network put in. So there's a bit of a drain on the system.
Yeah,
I mean, the costs, the true cost is always hidden. It's in the consequences of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like this is I mean, but there's so much that needs to change just about culture to solve a lot of these problems. Like we just have a culture of people who are just idiots about health and idiots about personal responsibility.
Hey,
That's the big
Sam,
one, I think.
let me tell you a little story about someone I knew who lived in Texas. Sorry, heathens.
Texas is a pile of shit, I know.
Okay, this individual had a health problem where they thought their doctor thought they had multiple sclerosis. So they went and got their Medicaid or Medicare, whatever you call their little state welfare health insurance, to go to the hospital to get some tests done. It was determined to not be MS. End of story. This gentleman voted Republican. He will not vote for Obama, and he will not take Obamacare.
Yeah.
He's laying at home in a bed in his mom's trailer, drinking alcohol and taking an overdose of Aleve to deal with the pain he's in. instead of going and signing up for Obamacare and getting health insurance to go find out what the fuck is wrong with him.
Yep.
Because he doesn't like Obama.
Yep.
Because he's a secret Muslim.
Because we're fucked up.
Yeah, that is sad.
He also sleeps with a pistol under his pillow because, you know, of protection and protecting the home.
Well,
He's
that
also
in any minute
shot-
now they're going to come for his gun anyway.
Yeah, he's also been shot 6 times. Once by a relative who was drunk who wanted the 22 to go hunting. He wouldn't give it to him, so his cousin grabbed it, loaded it, and shot him.
Stay classy, Texas. Stay classy.
Oh, come on. He's just one person. And I mean, to be fair, like, look.
Oh,
this is
come
pretty bad.
on, Prudent.
It's
You have-
Prudent
your
has
country has
a
a
big old hard on
reputation.
for guns.
No, no, no.
because
It's
they
an
can't defend
anecdote.
themselves.
I'm just saying. I'm
Hang
just
on for a second, please. Hang on for a second, please. I'd like to point something out. I mean, Prudent does kind of point. This is just one person. It's not like people like Dick Cheney go out and have hunting accidents regularly.
Granted, I will give you it's anecdotal, but your country does have a reputation for this.
That's why I referenced Dick Cheney in that, yes.
And now we have the internet to make sure that the rest of the world knows about it.
Yes, you can't hide your shame anymore, America.
Yeah, well,
You're standing naked in front of the world. What about your amosexuals who started running around with their AR-15s?
Homosexual.
It's my God-given right to have my guns. No, dude, you're at Applebee's. Put it away.
Homosexual.
I mean-
I love that shit, man. That's funny.
Well, the funniest thing to me is that the people who are the most afraid of, like, needing a gun are always white people, which in our country is just so laughable. You know, it's entertaining, because in our country, you are so not likely to have to need that if you're a white person.
Well, Sam, the gentleman in question I brought up, the whole idea of him having the handgun under his pillow to protect the trailer from, like, if someone was to burgle the place at night. I asked him, so, like, what are they going to steal? And he mentioned the television. And then I pointed out that you have a floor model.
Oh, wow.
It's going to take 2 people to get the damn thing out the door.
Yeah.
They ain't stealing your television.
Sounds about right.
And anybody who does a home burglary who walks into that place and looks around is going to realize there is nothing of value here to steal, and they will leave.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
If he values the TV
You're
over a bunch
overestimating
of other things, wow.
Just
So-
saying is the TV's that old. You're not going to
Hang on, TJ. What?
I was going to say, I think you're overestimating the intelligence of these comic criminals. Given the kind of robberies I've seen, it wouldn't all surprise me if they held up, a trailer park for no reason.
Hey, Mike.
Hello.
Oh, I listened to your guys hang out with ISIS.
Sorry.
I could only listen to about 20 minutes because it was just really painful to listen to.
Yeah. It was more painful to be in it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I didn't even understand what his original point was. I don't know. It seemed like it was missing some context.
Every single libertarian conspiracy out there.
Well, I
Basically,
mean-
the point of ISIS.
Well, the point
in
that
particular
really got him
case-
going that time was his basic point is because of northern latitudes, white people are more intelligent.
Yeah. Because apparently living in places where it gets cold means you have to be smarter. Because you don't have to plan living in places where it's hot.
Yeah,
apparently.
places like in deserts, they don't have to worry about the pre-planning for things like droughts or anything like that naturally. So
So,
Well, hold on.
essentially-
Let's defend the moron on the internet here for a second.
no,
Maybe there's something he's
no.
forgotten to bring up, and that's when you live in northern climates. It gets cold in the winter. So what do you do all day while it's cold outside? You stay
Well,
home, you watch documentaries, and you read books, so you get an education.
Well, here's the thing.
So
What he wants to be
ISIS
able. So
was-
that's.
So from what I'm getting, ISIS was essentially defending evolutionary pop psychology.
Yeah. He's a race realist.
Eugenics.
And what it is basically it's this it's a very thinly veiled way of saying the reason that we have inequalities in this world between races has nothing to do with society discriminating against minorities. What it has precisely to do with is the fact that minorities are genetically inferior.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And I would love to talk to him. I go, okay, so on these IQ tests, how do you control for culture? You can't. You know, what IQ tests precisely measure is how good you are at taking IQ tests.
Yeah.
Yep.
It may have some loose correlation to certain, you know, certain things, but there's no negative control for an IQ test. So a positive control would be, you know, okay, like you would expect IQ to correlate with achievement, right? Because that's what we're trying to measure in terms of intelligence. I mean,
Here's
even if we
here's a
grant
question,
that
Sam. IQ tests typically are written tests. You sit down with a piece of paper and there's a bunch of questions on it. So what happens if you're dyslexic and you have difficulty reading?
that happened to my mom.
Right. So therefore you wind up scoring lower on your IQ test. Are you dumb?
I would certainly not say that my mom is dumb. She's
Right.
a very, very intelligent
But
person.
according to the test now, you would show as being dumb.
Mm.
How do you adjust for that? You can't.
There are certain social linguistic biases,
Yeah.
but there's no way that you can actually control with how do you prove that IQ actually measures this?
Yoda,
How much stock do people really put in IQ tests now, anyway?
they don't.
Most
If
people
any-
don't. ACES, on the other hand, it's kind of a veiled way to be racist.
In fact, a lot of, from what I understand, in a lot of post-secondary institutions, they look to mostly how you're capable of writing an essay, your capacity to reason, put forth an argument, not necessarily standardized tests.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't think of an example where that was used as like a criteria for somebody accepting a position or being accepted for a position.
MCATs for med school. That's really the only one for like past college that people actually really seriously use.
Hmm.
GRE, it's just an idiot filter. I mean, that's how departments use them, at least in my area. Of
the GRE is a pretty silly exam. It's like here's 100 questions. We're going to give you a ridiculously short amount of time to solve all of them.
Well, apparently, I should have been I should go get a literature PhD because I got a really good score on the verbal and essay sections.
I was talking about the
perfect on the
subject
essay.
test. I forgot
so
about the
apparently-
general ones.
All you need to, if you want some help with that, all you really need to do is make up shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complete, like, that's such a nonsense exam that it's just an idiot filter.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sorry if you know, I can't really help you because most schools at this point look at like achievement and things like this. But back to ISIS, the interesting thing is that he will go through all of these backbends to justify this thinly veiled racism. And he always harps about how rational and on top of the facts he is. If you read Guns, Germs, and Steel, right, there's a very convincing case that can be made that the reason that societies have traditional structures of privilege, have their specific structures of privilege, dates back to the environmental factors that guided human evolution and guided societal development in those areas.
Yeah, like your access to your ability to domesticate local animals, use them for labor and stuff.
Precisely.
Places that have, you can't do that in some regions. You know, there really are no animals that you can use to farm in some places like that. So you can't
Also,
establish an agricultural society.
You know what's another cool trend is that Jared Diamond writes about the fact that societies that can move from east to west easily, historically they tended to develop much quicker. And so this is think about South America. It is almost impossible to navigate from east to west, and the majority of the area is north to south. And so,
Which
is
is why
it really that much of a
empires
surprise
have
that the Incans couldn't develop reliable trade routes? I mean, what they used to do for trade routes in the Incan Empire was they had these guys called chasquis who would they were basically marathoners that would deliver messages. Because there's not stable trade routes through, the Andes Mountains.
They would also deliver fish from the coast.
Yeah.
A fish would be caught, you'd give it to the runner, and he would run it.
But of course, South America. But of course, it's genetic that South America is behind, right?
It can also, your trade route can also come down to, do you have a beast of burden?
Right.
South America, the only beast of burden you had was the llama.
Yeah, it's a fair.
In South America, the only animal domesticated was the llama. In North America, the only animal that's domesticated is the turkey.
Yeah.
But if you look at Europe, Asia, and even Africa, you get cows, horses, pigs, sheep, chickens, goats,
Elephants.
and a plethora of other elephants, a
But
plethora of
only
other
certain
animals as well.
Only certain regions of Africa. So
I'm just talking those three big continental.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, they have how many animals that get domesticated?
Mm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially large animals like a horse, an ox, or even an elephant. All those animals can be used to pull something or carry loads. Even
what about
a camel.
Australia?
Well, strictly speaking, the horse was actually brought here by Europeans and then ended up evolving into the wild Mustang. They were originally not indigenous, though, if I remember correctly.
No.
The horse was indigenous to North America. It goes across the idea of the land bridge, gets killed off in the Americas, and then is reintroduced.
Yeah, but it was reintroduced, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the camel as well came from North America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, once you can establish like kind of a primitive, our agricultural system, you free up so much more time to do other things. Whereas hunter-gatherer societies, they're working so many hours a day. What time do you really have for any kind of technological innovation if you're constantly working to survive? Yeah.
A hunter-gatherer society known as the Kung or the Kalahari Bushmen.
Mm-hmm.
They spend about 4 hours a day gathering everything they need to sustain themselves for the day. So they've got 20 hours a day to basically sit around and do whatever the hell they want now.
Point taken.
And in any case, hang on. In any case, the thing is with Aces, I've had him in numerous shuffles that have just blown the fuck up. And the last shuffle prior, because that was actually a red line hangout that was recorded while it was running, and it was one of his off-air things, and I was like, "Fuck this shit," because everyone checked the damn box anyway, and like, fucking Aces is about to go full asshole, because somebody mentioned his whole racial latitude thing. So I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going to hit record," because the very last shuffle prior to that, he tried to enter, and I'm like, nope, not putting up with you today, and threw his ass out, and he spent like an hour bitching in the external comments.
Yep.
So I'm like, fine, you want me to showcase why I didn't let you the fuck in?
Was that Istis? Istis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, you were there when we were talking about why you can't say to a trans person, "You're not a real X," like you're not a real woman or you're not a real man, And we spent the entire time like explaining to him very slowly, and he just is not. He's one of those people. He is a bright guy. He's like, no one's gonna call Ace just a moron. He just doesn't listen to anyone.
No.
Yeah, he's got a penchant for arguing, no doubt about it.
Well, he thinks he's the big king dick. His whole body language when he's spewing, he's forward, not erect up, but forward to push his point and using the hand to instruct.
Usually he's just an icon, so you'd never know.
Yeah,
No,
true.
I mean,
But when he's listening, he's back here going, yeah, whatever. Wow. Sam, Ace's got Fiona more riled up than Ronnie.
Yeah.
Well, because with Aces, there's less of an excuse.
I mean, with Ronnie, we're just used to him
No,
being...
he's a moron. Like
Yeah.
I'm convinced because did you watch that, Max? On
the one with negation of P, it was dreadful.
that was horrible. I listed the fallacies because they were and where they happened in my coffee rant because God, how easy was that?
I mean, that's the thing with Ronnie. I even called him out for his use of atheism before, and I made and I've told everyone here this. Essentially, he has this one definition, and he says, "This is how I'm defining it. It's in the dictionary. Anyone can look." And I'm like, "That's not how people self-identify. Self-identification is the cornerstone of argumentation. Someone defines their position, what that position entails, and then you go for it.
Mhm.
All definitions are stipulative in an argument. They're not something that are universal and everyone has to adhere to. Because that's
remember, you'll remember in that comment thread, he said, "I'm not committing the etymological fallacy. Look at the etymology of this word." You were there. You're on that thread. You remember that was one of his first.
I remember that, but that was. I decided to just let Ronnie have that. Just let him keep that up.
It's one of those things where like he's just smart enough to know how to use a computer, but just dumb enough that when he uses it, retard just spills out, and in some ways it's wonderful. It's wonderful when I'm a little bit high, like I am right now.
Yeah, I got a message earlier.
Ronnie is smart enough to use a computer, but he's also in the same note dumb enough to use a computer.
I got a message from Drag earlier mentioning that we should get a hangout going for ACES to allow him to fairly present his case. I'm like, it doesn't matter. He won't fucking listen to what you say in response. I mean, he's got these views that he holds as dogmas, that he doesn't see them as being dogmas. And anything that you try to say counter to it, because we're trying to point out things like, well, the education is a factor. If you have a lousy education system, yes, the people aren't going to score as well. And no. Socio-economic conditions, no. Everything else thrown out the window. It's latitude. It's like
that kid is way too ADHD to present a coherent argument.
I have a question for those of you who know this Acer kid. Was he homeschooled by any chance?
I don't think so.
Does he go to a special type of whatever you call those charter schools?
I don't know.
Maybe
he graduated high school.
Yeah, talking about ISTIS?
Like a year. Yeah.
This is actually a graduate student in computer science at some university. He's not. I mean, I was homeschooled. That doesn't mean anything.
Well, no, I'm just saying, but
and also, like, just because he may or may not have gone to a charter school doesn't mean anything. I went to a charter school.
Well, no, Jack, I don't mean charter schools are bad, but if some of them are, you went to one that was more focused on art.
Actually, if you average them out, charter schools on average are better than public schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
It should also be added that the worst part about homeschooling is when everyone else gets a snow day, but you don't. Kevin, you can speak to that, right?
Kevin went away from the keyboard. He's getting wine.
What? Yeah, Max started speaking, so Kevin wandered off.
I'm looking at ISTIS's LinkedIn page. He does not do a good job.
What do you want to know?
There's a LinkedIn page with the name ISTIS.
But I mean, it's kind of one of those things. The point of putting that up wasn't simply to bag on ISIS. It's just kind of a personal policy of mine when somebody's just being a raging dick that I'm not going to let them get away with it. And he was doing it again. It's like, dude, we were having a great hangout talking about very different things, and he starts getting on one of his little soapboxes, and somebody's like, dude, is this going to be about the metal beams again? Which I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Metal beams?
And then somebody chimed in with his
Wait a
whole
minute,
thing
jet
on
fuel
brain
can't melt steel beams? Does he think Hangout or 9/11 was a conspiracy?
You'd have to ask Sean. What was his last name? Sean something. Yeah, apparently he had a bit of a debate with them about the steel beams and everything.
And Halsoy was in because Halsoy was the one who brought it up in the chat.
Oh, okay, I thought it was Sean. Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
Halsoy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that he's also probably a vituperative anti-feminist and
Oh yeah.
and like hates women.
Oh, jeez.
I would guess
Well,
he does every other
What-
stereotype of young white men who are libertarian.
You know what?
Oh god, don't even get into his political views. It's cringeworthy.
Yeah, Prudent, this is why we're worried about you. We don't
Yeah,
want you
Prudent-
to end up
No, he's
being
worse.
We need to
He's
salvage the
so much
reputation of
worse.
young white libertarian men.
Well, Sam, I asked Fiona at the end of it. I said, did you get the sense that he not only over steamrolled anybody who's going against him, but it increased when you were presenting? She agreed that she was getting that impression from him. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
No,
that
I
you
have
say that, Sam.
I have no. Well, all indications is he's still a virgin, which I mean, that's Listen, if I had a vagina to have sex with, I would not let him inside me. Let's just put it that way. Like I can't. If I was gay and he was gay, I would not bend over. Right? I want to be fair. I don't want to be homophobic or sexist. But
all right, I think at this point it's getting a little personal. Come on now. I mean, Ace just I disagree with him on a lot of things, but I can tolerate him to a degree.
He's a condescending, childish twat who was being quite the dick. And he got very personal while doing it. So guess what? Gloves are off with him. So
Yeah,
he brought it upon himself. He brought it upon himself.
Aren't I exactly the same way though, Nikolai? I'm just kind of.
Well,
you're not.
You're
not. Actually, Prudent.
Role model.
Yeah, let me say this though, Prudent. I will say this in the difference between you and Aces. You are actually recoverable. Aces, I don't believe is.
Actually, I'm going to jump in for a second. Aces can actually be an okay kid. The problem is if he thinks that you have a butcher knife anywhere near one of his sacred cows, he just loses his shit.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, remember when he and Darwin... Remember how good he was at discussing evolution and explaining it to Darwin's deity when everyone else had a relatively harder time communicating to Darwin? Because, of course, Darwin's deity is batshit. But Aces actually did a good job. I was impressed in that hangout.
I've talked with him before. He was really pretty civil, but weren't talking about anything very contentious, so...
Didn't we once even have wait, TJ? Weren't we once also in a hangout with
Yeah, when
Shamos
he found out that I'm studying physics, he had 1,000 questions for me, and he showed me every physics textbook he owns. He's like, "What do you think about this? What do you think about this?" I was like, "Oh man, this is not why I come into Hangouts."
Yeah, some people are just massively overprotective of their sacred cows.
Boy, his ass puckered. That's for damn sure.
But I mean, that was the thing. Is in that particular hangout, when somebody mentioned his some basically race-based IQ thing, which he of course claims is just based upon the latitude at which they're born, and the moment that came up, I'm like, oh crap, this is gonna go sideways. I'm turning on the fucking recording.
Mm-hmm. The funniest bit about it, the article that about a study demanded proved his point didn't.
No, and it was he kept going on, no, it's the first of its kind. Then show us the latest of its kind.
There's still a regression. Oh. He was redefining the term regression.
Yeah.
It's also bad practice to cite a single paper in defense of an argument in general, because that's not really how you establish the validity of a theory. You don't cite one paper. You have to.
And you don't cite the oldest one.
Yeah, you have to cite an entire thesis worth of papers to really make those points.
Reviews.
In this case, he was not only just simply citing one paper, but then when we started pointing out that most of what it said disagreed with him, he then started talking about how small a sample size it had.
Yep. Plus he linked the wiki link. version of it.
Wiki.
I
Hey,
found the
13.
actual original, and there were some things in there that kind of supported what he was trying to say, but most of it was actually, when you start bringing in all the additional nuances and whatnot, no, it didn't.
Mm.
That's always that's always kind of the hard part of like looking through the bigger papers, because you really do have to actually look through just about all of it just to really understand the full context.
Yeah, but he was.
People just
The thing is, he was demanding it was on his side when it was explained. It even quoted from the WikiLink article on it. But Fiona, and other people were saying, no, it means this, not what you're saying, and he was redefining the word regression to make it fit for him. And it just didn't work. And he would not, he refused to listen. And every time it got up to, no, your definition is wrong, the condescension would just rise.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, 13, where is this being broadcast from? I can't find it.
If you go to my Google Plus, you should see me. I did link it to everyone on the Google Plus. It's just your general Google Hangout broadcast shit. I'm having to record it locally. It wasn't letting me stream to YouTube or shit tonight. So I'm technically recording it offline while it streams to...
Oh, I found it.
Yeah. Nobody can find it anyway.
I have like 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, I know. Because I kept trying to stream and it kept dropping them.
Oh.
Not much. Okay.
Yeah. Google is full of hate. I think I deleted all the 5 false starts now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're just still in my feed. If I click on them, they go. It's not there anymore.
Yeah, I fucking tried. It just wouldn't let me broadcast proper tonight.
Oh, and Sam, your vagina comment, Kevin has copy pasted it to his
drunk bear.
Giant drunk bears. It's going to become a drunk bear Cards Against Humanity card now.
Yay!
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good card.
Yeah.
Get another drunk bears.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get the mindset. I really don't. And the thing is, we're kind of trying to reason with him now. Yeah, there was a lot of context that was lost in terms of the video there. But led up to that conversation, really, kind of what it was is we were talking about all kinds of other stuff, and then somebody had said that one trigger phrase. It went fucking sideways.
Yeah, because we were talking about like everything under the sun, basically.
And then somebody hits that one little trigger phrase of, oh yeah, because people are, their IQ is based on their fucking latitude, and then he goes off.
That's a preposterous theory. It's obviously longitude.
So what was the study that he was quoting?
I'd have to look it up. Give me a minute.
It was like a 70s paper.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh,
it's really
that's
bad practice.
Was that yesterday?
No, let me see I'm going to see if I can find it in my history.
No,
On
it's
the actual. Was what a good group of sometimes over the course of last week.
it was on the heritability page of heritability of IQ wiki page. That's one way to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just posted it in the side chat actually.
Ah, yes, that's the one.
Epicadarian or Epicidarian? Something like that.
I'm gonna fuck.
Yeah.
My browser's gonna cooperate.
Oh,
Yeah, the key point in the whole thing, just to say which went against him, the line, the project concluded that high-quality educational childcare from early infancy was therefore of utmost importance. variance. In other words, no genetic determination on IQ.
Actually, another area, because I actually found the paper and I can't find it right now, but I'm going to keep looking. But it was like Abyssinian or some shit like that. It did also say that they were looking for a genetic link, and that there did seem to be that did seem to be one of the factors involved was genetics. But it didn't put it as like this is the one thing. It said this seems to be one of the factors, one of the 3 to 5 factors, whatever it was.
Well, we're a dynamic mix. Not everybody learns the same way.
How much support is there for the claim that intelligence is heritable in any way?
I think the current estimates are around 80% heritability.
Really?
Yeah, but it's kind of been kind of hard to define it in some sense.
Yeah, it's very right that. Again, and then you have to get into the limitations of how do you actually test intelligence.
Right.
The other thing is what people don't see. I would love to just quiz Aces on what heritability is, because most people who have never taken a genetics course don't know what heritability is. Heritability doesn't mean, oh, you have an 80% likeliness of having this trait. That's not what it means, but people think that's what it means. What it means is that if you were to take a population and you look at all of the variants in a trait, like IQ was used as a trait, you look at all of the variants, and so that's all of the differences between people, and that is the total variance. Now, the heritability is the fraction of that variance that can be explained by genetics. So if you had a universal environment, if you had everyone equal everything, right? The heritability would be 100%.
But we don't live in a perfect world.
I got a question for Sam. How much of, air quote, intelligence could also be environmental?
20% of the variance is not explained by genetics. So, theoretically 20%, but that actually doesn't go towards answering the question of how much of intelligence is environmental. It's just how much of the variance in the trait.
That's how would you measure that? I mean, I'm trying to think how you could come up with any kind of metric that would rule out anything but heritability. How would you rule out environmental factors?
In order to test the environmental factors, you'd have to probably have sets of twins and separate them and raise them in different environments, and that just becomes child abuse.
Well, it's really, really hard, because you can the thing would be is you can't take the environment as a totality, right? You can't, there's no way that I can quantify everything, even in a simple experiment, right? Let's say with the lab rats for some trait. Even with that, it's, I can't correlate to anything, but I could say, let's say something like diet or something. I could explain bits and pieces of the variance until we get up to 100% total. So it's not even that 20% is environmental. We can't really say that.
Hang on.
It's more down to specific things.
Hang on a second. Here we go. Incoming from PubMed.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, my God.
Wouldn't it also be an influence of the type of experiences and how they work through them would
actually here's the link that's
quote unquote
right there.
Would gain some intelligence, because it forces, if you're able to get through whatever the event is, or have multiple
that's why
events,
it's environmental. As a child growing up, what do you experience? What do your parents give you? In the case now with things like television and books, what have you read? What have you been exposed to? Other family members who've taught you things. These will all play into it when it comes down to taking that IQ test now. How well do you take that test? Do you know the answers? Have you been exposed to those questions before? Do you understand them?
No, it's funny you say that, because, that's the thing is, you may say that, but according to these results, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. The environment has more to do with anything else.
Yeah.
Genetics is 20%. if my quick glancing of this was right, which I did just glance, I didn't actually read.
Yeah, and you can't just misapply like what that tells you. That doesn't tell you that, it doesn't actually tell you even a causal link.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't posit exact genes. It also does not. So here's the thing, is it does not estimate how genetics and the environment interacts. Because that's really the key stuff of nature versus nurture. But heritability, you can't measure it. I don't know how you would. I mean, the only way to really measure something like that is you have to do very intense mechanistic studies. But these are all problems with trying to apply heritability to explain huge differences. That, if you're talking about IQ is 80% heritable, and I believe what he had said is Asians have, on average, 5 points higher IQ. Well, the standard deviation for IQ is 15 points. 20% environment covers far more than a standard deviation of intelligence. Far more. So you're talking about an effect that's perfectly explicable within that paradigm. It's the same thing as creationism in some way, which is it's just, you're taking an ideology and you're finding facts to support it. It's this, it's so that they can justify treating black people terribly.
Yeah. Yeah. Gives them a reason for their hate.
But I would rather hear him say anti-feminist things, because that would be hilarious.
Kevin, get at it.
The real frustrating thing, though, is that you can't even have this conversation with him, because he will sit there and cut you off and keep steamrolling you to try and keep making his points, and that's really the frustrating thing.
Yeah, if he actually let you talk and let you make points, then it could be a reasonably interesting conversation, but it never becomes that.
Fired up over it, though. God.
Yeah.
It did seem like
it
did seem like he got cut off a hell of a lot too by other people. I think that's just a natural function of Hangouts in general.
Yeah.
And then once that gets out of hand, people get at each other, and then there's an animosity between people.
The thing is, that's based in part on somebody that isn't listening, that's not really giving, that they does keep interrupting themselves and what have you. And what happens is people, the more outrageous your claim is, the more people want to try to get involved in the conversation. And in the full room, that's fucking hard.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
When you're around 9 people want to object at once, it gets hard for anyone to speak.
Kevin,
especially
Where's Kevin?
It's kind of like a blogging.
Oh,
your
okay.
web
What?
page
GitHub?
thing, I think.
GitHub is a code repository.
He's got a lot of stuff. This kid's a fucking nerd. Like, there's so much on here. I'm actually kind of impressed.
He is pretty nerdy.
Everybody has good uses.
He even designed his own programming language called Idris.
Yeah, he loves to talk about that stuff. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
I have even no idea about any of that stuff.
Yeah, Prud was there.
Well, you're a different kind of nerd.
Yeah,
He also got a lot
Neither of you knows what a vagina feels like, though, so they have that.
good burn.
Now there was
Should we let Pruden in on the secret?
No.
Okay, we won't tell him about the apple pie then.
No.
Oh, good reference, sir.
What about apple pie textured blanket?
Oh God.
Well, look, if you're that desperate, just go get some beef liver.
Yeah, I've seen the movie. I've seen that movie. It's pretty funny.
Gets caught fucking a pie. That's hilarious.
By Eugene Levy. And that was just brilliant.
Oh, and Max is taking us for a ride.
Yeah, Max had to mess with his camera for a moment there, so it didn't get the pie on screen.
Oh.
Anyway.
Warm apple pie.
Wait, hold on. What kind of you said I'm a different type of nerd. Like, what is that exactly supposed to be, Kevin?
I don't know.
You're a different personality.
A bad kind. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know where I was going with.
I'm
Prud's
more of
the
a
kind of nerd who obsesses over bombing brown people.
no. I'm more of a nerd who
technical kind of nerd.
I'm more just of a nerd who obsesses over history and a little bit of social science. That's really it.
More so over the approval of others.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the kind of nerd who wastes like hours calculating statistical significance for gun control stats when you realize you could have done it in 10 minutes with Excel later.
I didn't know Excel could do personal.
My point exactly.
That
was pretty funny.
I was under the impression that literally only SPSS could do that, and it was down on my computer.
Or I could do it with R in like 5 minutes.
Kevin,
Do it with R in 2 seconds.
hold on a minute.
Or
I'm just
basically any programming language.
Prudent.
But he's the wrong kind of nerd.
I mean, there's probably just a website that already has like a plugin.
Yeah,
for it.
you know,
Well, let me just ask Prudent this though: when you were calculating your gun statistics, did you have fun doing it?
to be honest, yeah, I spent literally like 3-4 hours on that shit just to show how dedicated I was to actually seeing if I was right or not.
See, it's not. So here's the thing: is I can't hate on doing something like that because, like, when my family we went on like a ski trip for winter break, and I couldn't snowboard because my knee was fucked up, and my mom was annoying me playing this game called Word Bubbles on the iPhone, so I built a solver to it and programmed it in Python. But here's the difference: is I didn't fuck around for 4 hours doing something useless with regard to solving problems.
The key.
So you're an ineffective. This is the kind of nerd. Prudent is an ineffective nerd.
Well, you know what? I did the calculations right, okay? Because then I later realized that I could have done it on Excel the whole time, and the correlation statistic came up the same way on by hand. So, you know what?
But it's the fact that you found math fun.
Hey,
it bought into the lie.
Is fun.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he's got to do it properly. He's doing it poorly and having fun. That's his own.
That's the difference. He bought
Prudent is the kind of
It's like masturbating with the wrong hand.
Prudent is the kind of person who would try to mine Bitcoin with a paper pencil and a graphing calculator.
A paper pen? What?
Paper, pencil.
There was a comma in there, Prudent. Never mind.
Paper, comma, pencil, and you want to throw another comma in there or not?
What
Graphing calculator.
What do you mean about the paper and the pencil? I don't get that.
No, there was an article.
mind.
There was
It's
an
over
article
his
where
head.
someone actually just for shits and giggles went through one round of the calculation it would take to attempt to mine a Bitcoin block by hand, which these days requires supercomputers to do pretty much. But yeah. Anyway, I was making a joke at Prudent's expense.
Well, we all were.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna go back to looking at ISIS GitHub now.
Well, Prudent, you're talking to someone who had a college roommate who collected math textbooks.
I'm sure there was a calculator joke in there somewhere.
What's with all the math hate going on in this
Oh no, hold on. He didn't just collect the math textbooks. He read them for leisure and made corrections.
I was just thinking about the weight. Those fuckers are heavy.
Oh, no kidding. I have a box of math books, like, in the other room I haven't unpacked yet that weighs, like, 40 pounds. That was a pain in the ass getting it on the trailer. And I have another one of all my science books that weighs almost as much.
I don't see what's so wrong about being a nerd. I never understood that.
Nothing. Probably a bigger nerd than you, but I know what a vagina feels like.
Oh.
There's a distinction in there somewhere. I'm sorry. I'll shut up now.
Well, Prudent, you could always get a Darth Vader mask. Just saying.
Oh, Revenge of the Nerds reference. I got it.
These are not the calculator jokes you're looking for.
Oh, who won the fuckability contest? 16-year-old Mark or Prudent?
Oh, I don't know. I
think 15-year-old Mark was winning that, but
I even voted for Mark.
Funny. Love it.
Yeah, Prudent knows what it feels like to fuck himself, and he doesn't approve.
Oh my.
Did anybody see the comment left by Serenity on that? That was probably one of the best. Even I was laughing. Oh god. Apparently, Mark looks like Marilyn Manson, basically, like when he was 15 or 16 by his picture. And
He looks like a loser and a half. Holy crap! I saw that.
Who's
Hold on. So, Mark Anoia.
Oh.
So he left. So this is what there was a user by the name of Serenity who left a comment basically saying, you know what's interesting about these photos? It looks like a high school shooter right next to one, like right next to a picture of one of his victims.
The question was which was which.
That is a good question.
Oh, come on.
My comment was that I think Prudent's too light in the ass to be fuckable. It's just a problem.
What's with you tonight, Sam?
What do you mean?
He doesn't have a mouth and he's projecting it on Prudent.
Wait, hang on. You're obsessed with butt sex, and you keep making references to like holes where they shouldn't be. And did you watch?
He was in a hangout talking about Rocket.
Did you also go to see Deadpool last night, Sam?
He's as high as a kite. That's probably why.
I'm not as high as a kite.
No, but did you watch Deadpool?
I did not. No.
Well, that would have at least been a reasonable excuse.
That's fair.
It would have made sense then.
I mean, I think those kind of jokes are entirely consistent with Sam's personality. So.
Yeah, but at the same point, if he'd seen Deadpool, there's a taking it up the ass joke in it. Granted, it's a bullet up the ass, but hey.
Look, there's jokes about sperm and an anus, and then there's jokes about sperm and an anus. They come from different spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And they still involve sperm and an anus.
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying. And after saying sperm and an anus, there's a long
now it's
and then an ahem from Kevin. I don't know what to make of this.
I did not hear anything after I sat down, so I don't know what you're talking about. Before I sat down, sorry.
You heard it here first. He hears through his butt.
What? What?
Oh.
Dun dun dun.
Okay, I need to look on the stream. I want to know what you were talking about before.
Well, I in theory, with the initial link to the shuffle, which is privately shared, there should be a link to the thing, and I tried to publicly share the link a moment ago, but whatever the fuck. I don't know.
This is the stream link. It's just unlisted, and there's no live chat. I don't even know other viewers.
Yeah, there is one viewer now that I had to repost the fucking link again, but nope, no, there isn't.
Oh, I would have said hi Benaberry, except he doesn't seem to be our constant viewer anymore. Do we have a constant stalker viewer?
No, we really don't anymore.
Aw.
We had Rickus in here briefly earlier, though.
Oh, I missed Rick. I haven't seen Rickus in a while.
Yeah, he seems like
around.
all right. Unfortunately, the thing with Lenny yesterday ended up being offline. I ended up just calling him on the phone.
Aw.
But he seems to be doing good, and he sends his love to everyone.
Need
In
to
that
drag
drunken
that
Irish way.
Gotta drag that fucker into a hangout at some point.
Well, at some point, but his connection was fucking up yesterday, so he couldn't actually get a stable connection. Otherwise, we would have been talking about movies. We ended up talking about not just Deadpool, but a couple other recent ones, including Star Wars. So would have done it live if we could have, but hell, today I can't even stream properly for fuck's sake. It's up so bad. have to figure out what's up with that. I'm recording this thing offline anyway as a precaution. I actually do the local recording on it. I did, however, record Red Panda's bit yesterday, I think it was, last night. And that's been put up on the Patreon site. And it's going to be mixed in, and I'm going to grab the best bits out of that, as I usually do, and mix it in with the rest of the puppets after I record their bits, because next month's is going to be a bitch to make.
So
I have to do it one puppet at a time. So that should be fun. We're doing Spirit Science's Real History movie.
Ooh.
Oh, that was the worst. That's probably the worst video I've ever made on YouTube.
I believe, to quote Mortimer, I believe his quote was that it is the worst thing that's ever been put on the internet.
That's
saying a lot.
But yeah, it's basically the Red Pandas thing is essentially an outtakes, a big ass fucking outtake reel. Are we having a Google quake?
I don't know.
I don't know if two people just dropped one right after the other. You never know. Let's see. We'll find out.
Epi.
No, I only saw TJ left.
Yeah, TJ and Max both left.
How was everyone's Valentine's Day?
Oh, great.
How about
Wife and I went to
Who had Valentine's Day sex?
well, my wife and I went to see Deadpool.
Yeah.
It was a great Valentine's Day movie.
Well, this is a story about how love never dies.
It's a love story, yeah.
I had Valentine's Day sex.
Well, that's you.
Kevin, I hope you did too.
Yes, that was the joke.
Yes.
Wait, did everyone notice here that Jackie was enthused about having Valentine's Day sex and Kevin wasn't?
I feel very passive right now.
Kevin was like, yeah, we gotta have Valentine's Day.
Sorry, just distracted by reading ISIS GitHub. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
And he grumbles.
Blaming on ISIS. I see how it is.
It's usually the case. She giggles and he kind of grumbles, and you're kind of left with the impression that she's having all the fun and he's not wanting to admit it.
Oh, there was plenty of fun. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you just like
I can guarantee you he looked like he was happy.
Kevin's just the prude of the two of you. I heard about your drunken rantings and Nadia's.
Me?
I think, yeah.
Oh, I haven't had a drunk rant in Nadia's Hangout since like early last year.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it
Yeah,
was
she
Tanya.
still goes into Nadia's Hangouts no matter how much I try to dissuade her.
There was some
come on, Kevin.
big conversation about sex.
Oh, yeah, that was the other night, but I wasn't that drunk. I was like buzzed, and there was no ranting, there was just talking about sex, and that was it.
So whose fuck style is buck wild out of those people?
Not prudent.
Oh, excuse me.
And not Nadia either, obviously.
Oh.
I haven't had sex since about 6 years ago. Alright,
I think if you don't want an erection, you just think about Nadia speaking.
I don't know. I think about Wookiee sex and the noises they must make.
I actually had to make myself think of things not to have an erection, and Margaret Thatcher in a thong worked, unfortunately.
Just imagine No. Just imagine Margaret Thatcher in a bikini on a cold, snowy day.
Wait a minute.
I said just.
Wait, no. Silence. Hang on. Was it Lenny or Prudent that actually referenced Margaret Thatcher thing?
Prudent.
Lenny, wasn't it?
Prudent.
Oh my God, Prudent.
It was
I have the logs. I have the logs.
I thought it might have been Lenny on that one.
Let me just refer to the context of that. I said.
Oh no, we don't need context.
Find it.
There is.
How dare you have a penis and say such things?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that there's a context to that. I said for her age, Margaret Thatcher wasn't that bad looking for her age.
That context didn't help.
It does help. If I say for her age,
Shut up when you're ahead.
No,
Shut
it doesn't.
Even when she was young, no.
All right. I believe it's Sam, because he doesn't go to Nadia's Hangouts all that much, I don't believe.
Not as much. No.
Okay. The best Hangouts that Nadia does are the ones where she's sleeping.
Well, I don't know. In light of everything that's just gone on, I think we might need a momentary distraction.
And that,
I don't know, but I don't care. I can't. Jackie, thank you.
It
I
gets
would
us
love
way too
that.
much out of Prudent and Margaret Thatcher, though.
It doesn't matter to me. I can't get into Nadia's Hangouts at all because she blocked me.
Why did she block you?
Probably because I made a joke or implication that she should get a job at some point in my YouTube career, and she blocked me. Oh no! No. Gus made a video basically calling Nadia out for being a lazy layabout, and I made a joke in the comments that she should run a class on e-begging for Tumblr snowflakes.
Okay.
And I don't think she likes that very much. I don't think she likes that very much because I can't follow her now.
There's some news I'm going to give you. So perhaps we can get you unblocked because it's a cold day in hell. Gus Bellinger got unblocked by Nadia.
Yeah, but he probably threw a fit about it or something. I don't even care.
No. You see, I asked her, like, what happened here? I just noticed he's back in the Hangouts. He goes, oh, yeah, I unblocked him. At first I thought it was a sock account, but no, she unblocked him. So either she's finally realized...
Kevin doesn't participate enough in Hangouts for her to notice that she hasn't blocked.
Probably, and I don't want to go into Nadia's Hangouts anyway, because...
But Kevin, it's the principal!
Yeah.
I noticed that the latest batch of Nadians are just, like, really into Islam and
communism.
Islam, communism, and extremely inappropriate sex jokes.
Okay, we need to go to ISIS into going into Nadia's Hangouts.
Yeah.
No, but there's this new girl named Mina, and some of the new men in Nadia's Hangouts, like, kind of verbally, sexually harass her.
Okay, hold on, Jackie.
Then tell her that there are better Hangouts like this one.
Some of these people that are there now are actually a spillover from Pal Talk. They have come to Google Plus because of Darwin's deity, who came here to rant about being harassed on Pal Talk.
Pal Talk? What's that?
It's the poor man's
Is that where Goggles Girl is from?
Yes. She's another one of them, too. A lot of the other communist philosophy people that Nadia's attracting now. They've all spilled over because Darwin deity.
I've never heard of either Pal Talk or Darwin deity.
Be thankful.
Be thankful. You don't need to hear about him.
Bill.
He's this idiot guy who will sit here and make arguments, and then when you start to corner him, he'll make an excuse that he's got to go walk the dog. He'll be back in 15 minutes, and then he just cuts out and leaves.
What the fuck is this shit?
Ken West says, I will have over 100 Grammys before I die.
Wait, you mean Kanye West?
Kanye, Cheyenne, whatever.
I call him Cayenne.
I like Cayenne.
Yeah.
Yo,
He's also asking. He's also $53 million in debt, and he's asking Zuckerberg apparently on Twitter for $1 billion to invest in him. And the co-founder of Google.
Yeah, invest in Kanye. That's can I short Kanye?
Okay, two at a time. Two at a time.
Can I short Kanye so I can make money off of his downfall?
He's nuts.
He's also gonna let you finish.
Yeah, he also, but he wasn't the rapper that was going around claiming to be a flat earther, was he?
No, that guy actually turned out to be doing it as a joke.
Yeah, and Kevin, I wonder if he lets Kim finish.
Bubba doesn't even let himself finish.
No,
Yo, Kanye, I'm happy for you, and I'm gonna let you finish. Yo, Kanye. Kanye was like the best rapper ever. Shut up, Tupac.
Jesus.
Yeah, Kanye. There's a group that I liked that last time I'd heard they disbanded. I don't know if they started back up or not, but they had been called Big Catholic Guilt. And there's this one line they had from one of their songs that I think is really apt as a description. And that line was, "I don't think that you can even get an erection without looking in the mirror at your own reflection." And I think that is very relevant to the moment.
Nice.
I just have a question there, Paranor.
What?
If Kanye West or Cayenne West is $53 million in debt, where does his wife Kim Kardashian get all the money for the plastic surgery?
From her own business.
She's got her own money.
Yeah.
What do you think he needs 100 Grammys before he dies?
100 Grammys or 100 grannies?
What?
100 grams of something? I don't fucking know.
Oh,
Heroin.
geez.
Where does one spend $53 million?
On Martin
Oh,
Shkreli's hedge fund. I don't know. It's easy to burn through $50 million.
How would you know?
Hookers and blow.
Yeah, I guess. Hookers and blow.
I'm not speaking from
And
personal
casinos.
experience.
A lot of hookers and a lot of blow, dude.
Hell of a drug.
Even if you're talking high-priced ones.
Mm.
Hey, we got 2 spots open.
Okay. Can I just bring up
We
something?
can kick Pruden out and we'll have 3 open.
No, you can't bring up anything.
Go on, Pruden. I want to hear this.
I just
want
wanted
to hear this. Go, Pruden. Sorry.
I just wanted to know if anybody was in the mood for grilling another SJW thing, because I was just reading an interesting article.
No, thank you.
No.
All right.
All right, hold on. What kind of
Hang on. If it's actually amusing enough, we might entertain it. Otherwise, we will laugh you out of the room.
Okay, it's just it's the whole no platform thing that I just find so ridiculous.
What
That
kind of
no
SJW is it?
Apparently, with the British, I think with the English, I forgot the name of the student union, what the official name is. Apparently, they've no platform Peter Tatchell. He is. Do you know who Peter Tatchell? You don't. He's probably the most prominent.
This is so boring.
All right.
Go on.
You know what? Never mind then.
Go on.
I'm just saying
Peter
he's literally the most prominent LGBT activist out there, pretty much in the entire world, and he's not even good enough. He's not even good enough for the student union.
Okay, why did they? Hold on. First, is this the same student union that Bahar Mustafa was involved with?
I don't know who that is. Okay. He was no platform by the National Union of Students in Great
All right.
Britain.
Second question: Why?
Why
did they kick him out?
Apparently, it had something to do with you wouldn't believe this. It's another bakery case in Northern Ireland in Belfast. Apparently, they didn't want to make a cake that was it wasn't a gay wedding cake. It was just a cake that was made to that actually had like an LGBT logo on it, and apparently the bakers didn't want to. He stood in support. He actually apparently said he would stand in support with them because it wouldn't be fair. I guess to have Christian bakers post an LGBT logo the same way it wouldn't be fair to have a Muslim printer print out a picture of Muhammad.
What?
Yeah, he's going against the social justice narrative. That's not surprising. I don't agree with it either, but I mean,
yeah, I don't know why this is a particularly interesting story.
It depends on, I don't know what the laws are in Scotland. I know in America, like in America, the law says you can't if you're a business, you can't refuse someone's services based on their race. And there's a big push to get sexual orientation included in that. So that's why I would.
Does that have to do with hotels and traveling by train?
No, you're thinking of a different law.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know all the details of it, so I'm not going to
Quite frankly, if someone doesn't want to bake you a cake, just go find another baker who will.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, but if we sue and we get,
I'm just saying,
if we sue and get it up to the Supreme Court, we get lots of damages and monies and America, man, America.
Yeah, litigation culture. Yeah, I know.
It's the American way, chicken.
I know. Because I've heard. They call those places. It's the places that sell wedding dresses and bridal
stores. Yeah.
Bridal stores, yes. There were 2 women who went into a bridal store and they were refused because apparently they don't sell to lesbians. So they went down the street to the other bridal store and said, "Yeah, sure, we don't have a problem." Lesbian friends went there. It's how it works. You turn
I don't
people
know.
away. They
It's
won't
just-
bring their friends, their customers.
It's just, to me, like, if it's not okay, like, if it's offensive to kick someone out of your store and not serve them, because let's say if it was an interracial couple, and I think most people in America would say, well, maybe unless you're from the Deep South, that's bullshit and you shouldn't be able to do that. I think the same should apply for homosexual couples. And in a few decades, that's probably going to be the case. You won't be able to get away with that at all. But
well, also the
know.
baker. In the case, we'll just keep picking on the bakeries. The bakeries who refuse to make the gay wedding cakes will eventually just go out of business because they don't have any customers left.
Actually, no, they won't go out of business unless people make a point of making it known that these people discriminate.
Yeah. Oh, when you mentioned the cake thing, all I need to think, the first thing that comes to mind is Stiggy Drew Shepard raising a huge stink on Facebook about how I am pro-Baker. I may not be necessarily anti-homosexual, but I am pro-Baker's rights, and he made a huge deal about that a few months ago.
Oh,
Remember
really?
Jackie?
Really?
Wait, who? I was reading.
Bruce Shepard.
Oh, right.
Under his I am
He blocked a bunch of people over it.
I am pro Baker's right. Oh yeah, he blocked Jade too, who was trying to reason with him.
She was all part of the agenda anyway, so.
The anti-Baker agenda.
Tommy Hall has had a similar thing. It's like, I am pro Baker's rights. Someone needs to stand up for Christian bakers in America. Oh dear. Yes, they really need you, Tommy Hall.
Someone better than stand. Wait. Will they also stand up, I guess, for Muslim printers if they have to print out a picture of Muhammad?
Oh, I'm sure not. That's the funny thing. Like this individual rights thing, like they'll stand up for it as long as it's Christian values that are being defended. They're never going to stand up for Muslims or any other non-white Anglo-Saxon Protestant male demographic.
Well, it's unsurprising. Like a lot of, quote-unquote libertarians, they're not actually classical liberals. What they see is they want traditional power structures to remain in place, but the only difference is they don't want, they don't see the government as the best way to maintain those power structures. I mean, there's this weird reactionary bit about libertarians where they have like this really weird relationship with race and gender. It's really fascinating. So you can really differentiate a lot about, let's say 2 different libertarians based on what they feel about, social issues beyond just saying, oh, I don't want the government involved. Because a lot of them are like Glenn Beck has self-identified as a libertarian in the past, and he's not pro-drug policy, anti-drug policy, but he, obviously would hate it if people did drugs, and he's very puritanical about it.
Yeah, a lot of more mainstream or traditional libertarians are very socially liberal. They don't want government restricting a lot of the policies that are social liberal. But then there's people like Istis who seem to be completely anti-government, like anarcho-capitalist. I don't even know where he gets his views from, but
I just want to say there's a reason I think why Glenn Beck. Sorry. Yeah. I think the reason Glenn Beck's very puritanical is he's Mormon.
Yeah, that's a good
man.
point.
I didn't.
He is a con man.
Well, that goes very well with the Mormon tradition.
True.
I'm sorry.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Well played.
I know. I've grown up around these people. Fuck them. Fuck the Mormons. I can't stand them as electable.
You are literally the only like what people always say. Mormons are like the nicest people. What?
They're the nicest people, but
it's mostly
their culture. Their cultures are so messed up.
It's pretentious. That's what it really is.
Last Mormons around here were dressed in business suits, and they talk like salesmen. I mean, they flock to hospitals and that. They're always wandering around, seeing who's dying, and go in and offer to pay for the funeral if you just join our church.
Fuck that shit. And don't they also do posthumous baptizing as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Frank was a famous one.
They got in a lot of trouble for posthumously baptizing the Jews that Hitler killed during the Holocaust.
They also got in trouble too for baptizing Hitler.
There was a famous case even with Romney. I heard Mitt Romney did the same thing with his anti-religious father-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Jeez, and the sad thing. Yeah.
Bill Maher made a big deal about that one.
Yeah, that was actually pretty funny. I've seen that. And the weird thing is, his father George Romney, actually very progressive in many ways, just for some weird reason, had a weird thing for his Mormon church. Even though in many cases he also stood against them on civil rights, which I don't understand.
But standing against the church on civil rights, or the civil rights he stood up for?
Yeah, he stood up for civil rights against his church. Even his own church actually sent him a letter telling him not to do it. He actually told his church to fuck off, and then I guess towards the end of his life he sort of became more subservient to his church. I don't know. He was kind of a weird figure, but he at least progressed to stay forward.
Points to show that morality comes from humans, not from religion or gods.
During the last little presidential debate thing that they had between Hillary and Bernie, there's this one weird question that was asked, which was to Bernie of, didn't it bother him potentially getting in the way of the first female president? And I really wish he turned around and said, I don't know, does she feel weird about potentially getting in the way of the first Jewish president?
Yeah, that's true.
That would have gone well.
Didn't Bernie get a lot of positive reception for that whole Henry Kissinger call out?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's your response on that?
Oh, the thing is, that's something that really bugs me, I guess, about Hillary. The fact that she actually touts that she's supported by Henry Kissinger. Literally a guy who is responsible for probably at least 5 million deaths, maybe even more than that.
Indirectly.
Yeah, but then again...
Indirect. That's still a pretty big deal, though. I mean, he was very reckless when you look at how he handled Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, all that. I think it was also him who got rid of Allende in Chile. He also did a few other things, too. Oh, yeah, he also ignored a genocide that was going on in Bangladesh. Kind of advised the president on that one.
Who hasn't?
Oh, I just got a nerdgasm.
Yeah.
Mattel are relaunching a redesigned VR ViewMaster this fall. The old click and slide the discs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a ViewMaster. They're doing a VR headset.
Nice.
Oh, like $30 to $40.
Oh, that's
Overpriced? What the fuck, dude? Come on. A virtual reality view mat? Come on.
I still had one of the old ones. Don't have it anymore. It was the Melmac. It was made out of Melmac and opened on site. It was probably late 50s, early 60s. Nice, Sam.
I've got one here that's made out of black metal. It's painted black and it's made out of metal.
Nice.
I've seen that brown one, the beige one, before. I used to love that thing.
Yeah.
Childhood memories.
He wore the brown pants. He has the right idea. Oh, never mind.
Well, it was cool because it was an actual 3D-ish image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was unlike anything else. You had multiple layers in the thing. It was just fantastic, and you could actually kind of look around a little bit. It was, or at least it appeared you could. Your imagination just ran wild because here's a flat TV. We're still flat TV.
Yeah.
I think I might have to see about taking down the broadcast. I'm getting tired.
Strangely enough, so am I. And I woke up 1.5 hours ago.
It's 3:30 in the morning here.
Yeah, here it's almost 9 in the morning.
Whatever happened to those 3D TVs that they made a few years ago?
You need the glasses.
Yeah,
Can you still buy them?
Warehouses, maybe.
Are they still releasing 3D?
Holographic TV is still under development in Japan. It's not going to be mainstream probably for